Before we begin, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at someone and thought you knew exactly who they were? Their job, their life, their limits? What if I told you that the person changing bedpans in a hospital hallway could be the most dangerous operator you've ever stood next to? What if the quiet nurse checking your vitals had a security clearance higher than the governor of your state? Today's story will challenge everything you think you know about the people around you. Because sometimes, the most lethal among us were scrubs instead of uniforms. And sometimes, a stethoscope hides more secrets than a weapon ever could. If stories like this fascinate you, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss what happens next now. Let's begin. The fluorescent lights hummed in the emergency department of St. Catherine's Hospital. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. The kind of hour when the world felt suspended between yesterday and tomorrow. Nurse Emily Carson moved through the chaos with practiced efficiency. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry, except a plain watch. She looked like every other nurse on the night shift, tired, underpaid, invisible. That was exactly how she wanted it. "Carson, we need you in Trauma 3, Dr. Mitchell barked from across the nurse's station. He didn't look up from his tablet. He never did. "On my way," she said softly. Dr. Mitchell was the type who believed nurses existed to follow orders. Nothing more. He had made that clear during her first week. Emily had simply nodded and smiled. It was easier that way. She pushed through the double doors into Trauma 3. The smell hit her first. Copper and antiseptic. Blood and fear. A man lay on the gurney, his face pale beneath the harsh lights. Mid-30s, athletic build. Multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and abdomen. 2 police officers stood by the wall, speaking in low voices. Their hands rested on their duty belts. Nervous energy radiated from them. "GSW's estimated 15 minutes ago," the paramedic reported, stripping off his gloves. "Found him in an alley downtown. No ID, no wallet, nothing." Emily's eyes swept over the patient. Training kicked in, but not the training Dr. Mitchell knew about. The wounds were clustered. Professional. This wasn't a random shooting. The entry points told a story. So did the faint scars she noticed on his hands. Calluses in specific places. The way his muscles were defined, even in unconsciousness. She had seen these patterns before. In a different life. In a different uniform. BP dropping. The monitor screamed. 80/40. Dr. Mitchell rushed in, his white coat flapping. "Start another line. Push fluids." "Where's the surgeon?" 10 minutes out, a resident called. "He doesn't have 10 minutes, Emily said quietly. Dr. Mitchell shot her a withering look. "Thank you for the medical opinion, Nurse Carson. Now, do your job and let me do mine." Emily said nothing. She moved to the patient's side and began working. Her hands were steady, her face calm. But her mind was racing through calculations Dr. Mitchell would never understand. The patient's eyelids fluttered. For just a moment, he looked directly at her. Through the pain, through the haze, something passed between them. Recognition, not of her face, but of what she was. His lips moved. A single word, barely a whisper. "Overwatch." Emily's blood turned to ice. That word. That specific word. It wasn't in any medical textbook. It wasn't something a civilian would say. It was an operational term. A classified protocol. This man wasn't just athletic. He wasn't just trained. He was one of them. The lights flickered. Once, twice. The backup generators hummed to life, bathing everything in an eerie yellow glow. Dr. Mitchell cursed. Perfect. Just perfect. "Carson, page maintenance." But Emily wasn't listening anymore. Her eyes had found something the doctor had missed. On the patient's ribcage, partially obscured by blood, was a tattoo. Small, discreet. Most people would think it was just ink, but Emily knew better. It was a trident. The mark of a Navy SEAL. Her patient wasn't just military. He was elite. And if he'd used that word, if he'd found her eyes in his moment of dying, then this wasn't random. This was a message, Nurse Carson. Dr. Mitchell's voice cut through her thoughts. Are you deaf? I said page maintenance. Emily turned slowly. Her expression hadn't changed. Still calm, still professional, still invisible. Of course, doctor, she said, but as she reached for the phone, her other hand moved to her pocket, to the phone that wasn't supposed to exist, the one with no number, no carrier, no trace. She typed 4 letters under the desk where no one could. C.C-O-D-E. That. Then she went back to saving a Navy SEAL's life while everyone around her remained completely unaware of who she really was. Or what was about to begin? The surgeon arrived 9 minutes later. Dr. Patricia. Reeves was one of the best trauma surgeons in the state. She scrubbed in quickly, her eyes already assessing the damage. Talk to me, she said, snapping on her gloves. Dr. Mitchell rattled off vitals and injuries. Emily stood to the side, monitoring the patient. His breathing was shallow, his pulse thready, but he was still fighting. SEALs always fought. We need to move him to OR 2, Dr. Reeves said. Now, the team mobilized. Emily helped guide the gurney through the hallway. The wheels squeaked against the linoleum. The overhead lights flickered again. Someone really needs to fix that, a resident muttered. Emily's jaw tightened. Those weren't electrical problems. She'd seen this before. Interference. Jamming. Someone was controlling the hospital systems. They reached the OR. Dr. Reeves pushed through the doors. Carson, you're with me? Dr. Mitchell frowned. She's an ER nurse, not surgical staff. I need experienced hands, Dr. Reeves said without looking back. Carson stays. Emily followed into the operating room. The space was cold, sterile, bright. The patient was transferred to the surgical table. Dr. Reeves began her work. Emily's phone buzzed silently in her pocket. The encrypted one. She couldn't check it. Not here. Not now. But she knew what it would say. Confirmed, asset compromised. Stand by, 20 minutes into the surgery. The hospital's PA system crackled to life. Security to the main entrance. Security to the main entrance. Dr. Reeves didn't pause. Her hands moved with precision, repairing damage, stopping bleeding. Someone find out what that's about. A nurse left the OR. 30 seconds later, she rushed back in. Her face was white. There are men outside, she said. A lot of them. Armed. Dr. Reeves' hands stopped. Armed? What do you mean armed? Rifles? Tactical gear? They're surrounding the building. The room went silent except for the beeping of monitors. Dr. Mitchell's voice came through the intercom from outside the OR. What the hell is going on? Someone call the police? Emily's mind shifted into another mode. She'd trained for this, planned for this, hoped it would never happen. But when you spent years in deep cover, eventually something always went wrong. The PA system crackled again. But this time, it wasn't the security guard's voice. It was cold, professional, heavily accented. Attention, St. Catherine's Hospital. We are looking for the patient brought in approximately 40 minutes ago. Male, mid-30s, multiple gunshot wounds. You will bring him to the main entrance within 10 minutes. If you do not comply, we will come inside. Dr. Reeves stared at the ceiling speaker. This is insane. This is a hospital. The voice continued. We know who he is. We know what he knows. He will not leave this building alive. 9 minutes. The line went dead. Panic erupted in the OR. The anesthesiologist backed away from the table. A surgical tech's hands shook. We need to evacuate, someone said. We can't move him, Dr. Reeves insisted. He'll die. We'll die if they come in here. The nurse shot back. Emily remained still. Her eyes were on the patient. On the monitor. His vitals were stabilizing. Dr. Reeves was good. But they needed more time. Time she would have to buy them. Lock down the OR, Emily said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. What? Dr. Mitchell said through the intercom. Lock it down. Seal the doors. Don't let anyone in. Emily's voice was calm. Too calm. The voice of someone who had given orders in worse situations. Dr. Reeves frowned. "Nurse Carson, they're not here for you," Emily interrupted. "They're here for him. Which means the safest place in this hospital is wherever he isn't." "And where exactly are you going?" Dr. Mitchell demanded. Emily moved toward the door. "To have a conversation, you can't go out there," the surgical tech said. "They have guns." Emily paused, her hand on the door. She turned back, for the first time since she'd started working at St. Catherine's 6 months ago. Just a little. Just enough. Her eyes were harder now, colder, the eyes of someone who had seen things these people couldn't. "Imagine, so do I," she said simply. Then she was gone. Emily moved through the hospital corridors with purpose. Staff ran past her seeking shelter. She ignored them. Her mind was calculating angles, entry points, defensive positions. The hospital had 62 external doors. 12 of those were ground level. If these men were professionals, they'd have them all covered. Her phone buzzed again. Extraction. Team en route. ETA, 20 minutes. Maintain asset safety, 20 minutes. She had to keep them out for 20 minutes. She reached the main lobby. Security guards huddled behind the reception desk. Through the glass doors, she could see them. 8 men in tactical gear, rifles raised. More were probably around the building's perimeter. Emily approached the doors. "Ma'am, don't." A security guard called out. "Stay back." She kept walking. The automatic doors slid open. Cold night air rushed in. The smell of gun oil and Kevlar. Emily stepped outside onto the concrete apron. The men's rifles instantly trained on her. Red laser dots painted her chest. She raised her hands slowly. Not threatening, just a scared nurse who didn't understand what was happening. The man in front stepped forward. He was tall, broad-shouldered. His face was covered by a balaclava. His eyes were the only thing visible. Cold, professional. Russian, maybe. "Eastern European, go back inside, nurse," he said. His accent confirmed her guess. "This doesn't concern you." "I'm the charge nurse on duty," Emily said, her voice shaking just enough. "Please, we have patients. Sick people, children. We don't care about them. We want the man in surgery. Bring him to us and everyone lives." Emily shook her head. "He's in surgery. He'll die if we move him." The man's eyes hardened. "Then he dies. But he dies out here where we can confirm it." "You have 5 minutes. I can't do that. Then we come in and find him ourselves." He gestured to his men. "And anyone in our way becomes a problem." Emily lowered her hands slowly. Her posture changed. Subtle, but unmistakable to anyone with the right training. "I'm afraid I can't let you do that," she said. Her voice was different now. No tremor, no fear. Pure steel. The man tilted his head. "You can't let us?" "No," Emily said. "I really can't." The man laughed. "You're a nurse with a death wish." Emily smiled. "It didn't reach her eyes, actually," she said. "Much worse than that." And then everything went dark. The hospital plunged into complete darkness. The streetlights died. Every vehicle's electrical system shut down simultaneously. Even the tactical flashlights the men carried flickered and failed. Someone in the shadows had triggered an electromagnetic pulse. Localized. Controlled. Military-grade. Emily had exactly 4 seconds before their training overcame their surprise. She used them well. She dropped low and moved. Not like a nurse. Like a predator, the first man never saw her coming. One strike to the throat. He went down choking. His rifle clattered to the pavement. Emily caught it before it made a sound. 2 seconds gone. She rolled left. The night vision goggles they wore would be useless now. Fried by the EMP, they were operating blind. Someone shouted in Russian commands, trying to regroup. Emily came up behind the second man. She drove her elbow into his kidney, then swept his leg. He hit the ground hard. She struck the pressure point at the base of his skull. He stopped moving. For seconds. Contact. Contact. Someone yelled. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness. Panicked shooting. They couldn't see her. They were firing at ghosts. Emily was already moving to her next position. Years of training had prepared her for exactly this. She'd operated in worse conditions. Against better opponents? These men were good, but she was better. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Backup equipment shielded against EMP. It found her for just a moment. The leader's voice rang out. There, kill her. Emily dove behind a concrete planter. Rounds chewed into the cement. She counted the shots. Calculated their positions by sound alone. Then she returned fire. 3 controlled bursts. 3 targets down. The shooting stopped. Silence fell over the hospital entrance. Just the ringing of ears and the smell of gunpowder. Who are you? The leader's voice called from the darkness. Emily said nothing. She was already moving again, flanking, repositioning. You're not a nurse, he continued. No nurse moves like that. Shoots like that. Still silenced. It doesn't matter, he said. We have 30 more men around this building. You can't stop all of us. Emily's jaw tightened. He was right. She could hold the entrance. But if they came from all sides simultaneously, she couldn't be everywhere at once. Her phone buzzed silently. Extraction team, ETA. 15 minutes. Hold position. 15 minutes. She needed a new strategy. Behind her, inside the hospital, she heard running footsteps. Heavy boots? Security? No, wrong rhythm. Wrong training? The doors burst open. 6 men in hospital security uniforms emerged. But they moved like soldiers. They took positions with practiced efficiency. They carried weapons that definitely weren't. Standard hospital security issue. One of them knelt beside Emily behind the planter. Commander, he said quietly. We have the building secured. All entry points covered. Emily's eyes narrowed. I didn't call for backup. No, ma'am, the man replied. But command did. The moment your beacon activated, she looked at him closely. Late 20s, military bearing. The kind of eyes that had seen combat. How long have you been here? She asked. 3 months. Waiting for this exact scenario, Emily processed this. They'd planted assets in her cover location. Without telling her, that meant the operation was bigger than she'd known. The SEAL in surgery wasn't just an asset. He was bait, and she was the trap. How many? She asked 20-3 operatives positioned throughout the building. All former special operations. They've been living in deep cover, same as you. Out in the darkness, the leader's voice called again. Final warning. Send out our target, or we breach. The operative beside Emily spoke into his radio. All teams, weapons free. Engage on my mark. Emily grabbed his arm. Wait, civilians inside. Patients. Doctors, we're aware, ma'am. All civilians have been moved to the basement level. Reinforced. Safe. When? 20 minutes ago. While you were in surgery? Emily's mind raced. They'd planned this. Orchestrated it. Used her cover, her position, to draw out whoever was hunting the SEAL. Who authorized this operation? She demanded. The operative pulled out a tablet shielded. EMP proof. He showed her. The screen. Operation Nightingale-Thorinosia. Joke direct objective. Eliminate hostile intelligence network primary asset. CDRE, Carson. U.S. Naval Special Warfare Development, GROOP. Emily stared at her own name. Her real rank. Commander. Not nurse. Not civilian commander, Emily Carson. Navy SEAL. One of 12 women in the entire program. And the only one currently operating in deep cover? How many of them are out there? She asked quietly. 30-8 confirmed hostiles. Russian grew. They've been tracking our SEAL teams for months. Tonight was their move, and tonight was ours, Emily finished. Yes, ma'am. She looked at the men positioned around her. At the hospital she'd worked in for 6 months, at the patients she'd cared for, never known she was one of the most lethal operators in the U.S. military. No civilian casualties, she said firmly. That's an order. Understood, Commander. Commander. Emily stood. She stepped out from behind the planter into the open. Visible now in the faint glow of emergency lights beginning to flicker back online, the leader emerged from the darkness. His rifle was raised, but his posture had changed. I'm certain now. I'm going to ask you one more time, Emily said. Her voice carried across the parking lot, strong, unwavering. Leave now. While you still can, the man laughed, but it sounded hollow. You think 6 guards and 1 nurse can stop us? No, Emily said, but 23 Navy SEALs, 4 Marine Raiders, and 2 Delta Force operators probably can? The silence that followed was deafening. You're bluffing. The leader said. Red laser dots appeared, dozens of them, painting every hostile target simultaneously. From the roof, from the windows, from positions the Russians hadn't even known existed. Last chance, Emily said. Drop your weapons. Get on the ground. You'll be arrested. Tried, but you'll live. For a long moment, nothing moved. The world held its breath. Then the leader's radio crackled. One of his men, somewhere in the perimeter, speaking frantically in Russian, the leader's shoulders slumped. He'd just realized what Emily had already known. They'd walked into a trap. And there was no walking out. We surrender, he said quietly. He lowered his rifle. Smart choice, Emily replied. Within minutes, federal vehicles rolled into the parking lot. FBI ATF, military police. The Russians were rounded up, cuffed, and loaded into transport vehicles. Emily stood watching, still in her scrubs. Still looking like a nurse who'd somehow survived the impossible, Dr. Mitchell emerged from the hospital. His face was pale. Shocked, Carson, he said. What? What just happened? Emily turned to him. The patient is stable? Yes. Dr. Reeves finished the surgery. He's in recovery. But Carson, those men, the guns, I'm glad he's okay, Emily interrupted gently. I should get back to work. It's been a long night. She walked past him, back into the hospital, back to being invisible. But Dr. Mitchell grabbed her arm. Who are you? Emily looked at his hand, then at his face. She could see the fear there, the confusion, the desperate need for an answer that made sense. I'm just a nurse, doctor, she said softly. Now please, let me go. I have patients to check on. He released her slowly, still staring. Emily disappeared into the hospital corridors. Behind her, the cleanup continued. Evidence collected. Statements taken. The official story crafted, but she knew this wasn't over. Not really. Because in 1 hour, someone very important would arrive. Someone who would shatter what remained of her. Cover forever. And there was nothing she could do to stop it. Emily sat in the staff locker room alone. Her hands were steady as she cleaned the dirt from her fingernails. The same hands that had saved lives tonight, the same hands that had taken them. She didn't regret it. Couldn't afford to. But she felt the weight nonetheless. The door opened. Dr. Reeves walked in. She stopped when she saw Emily. The patient is asking for you, Dr. Reeves said carefully. Emily looked up. Is he awake? Yes, and remarkably coherent for someone who was dying too. Hours ago. Dr. Reeves sat down on the bench. Emily, that's your name, right? Your real name? It is. But nurse isn't your real job. Emily said nothing. Dr. Reeves studied her. I've been a trauma surgeon for 20 years. I've seen gunshot victims. Combat injuries? I know what they look like. That man in there has scars I've only seen on special operations soldiers. And you. She paused. You moved like you were one of them, Dr. Reeves. Patricia? Please? Emily nodded. Patricia, I can't tell you anything, can't. Or won't. Both, Dr. Reeves smiled sadly. I suspected something was different about you. The way you handled trauma, the way you stayed calm when everyone else panicked. I thought maybe you'd been in the military. Seen combat as a medic. She stood, I never imagined this. Nobody does, Emily said quietly. That's the point. Will you stay? After tonight? I don't know. That's not my decision anymore. Dr. Reeves walked to the door. She paused. For what it's worth, you're the best nurse I've ever worked with. Whatever else you are, that part was real. Emily felt something tighten in her chest. Thank you. When Dr. Reeves left, Emily changed into fresh scrubs. She checked her appearance in the mirror. Hair neat. Face clean. The mask back in place. She walked to the recovery room. 2 men in suits stood outside. Federal agents. They nodded as she approached. He's expecting you, one said. Inside, the SEAL was awake. Tubes and monitors surrounded him, but his eyes were alert, focused. He watched Emily enter. Commander, he said softly. Just Emily here, she replied. She checked his vitals. Professional, efficient. How are you feeling? Like I got shot 3 times. But alive, thanks to you. He studied her face. They told me you've been here 6 months, that's right, deep cover. No contact, no backup. He shook his head. That's some serious dedication. It's the job. The job got me shot, he said with a weak smile. I was tracking the Russian intelligence network. Got too close. They made me and led them straight to me, Emily finished. I'm sorry, don't be. That was the plan, wasn't it? She adjusted his fore. You were the bait. I was the trap. Command knew they'd come after you. Knew you'd end up here? The SEAL nodded. I volunteered. Seemed like the right play. Almost got you killed. But didn't, 'cause you were here. He looked at her with respect. They said you took out half the assault team yourself. In the dark, they said wrong. I had help. Not at first. At first, it was just you. 1 operator against 8 hostiles. He laughed, then winced at the pain. Remind me never to piss you off. Emily almost smiled. Rest. You'll need your strength, Commander. He stopped her before she could leave. Thank you. For saving my life. And for everything else you do that nobody knows about. Emily nodded. Then she left. The hallway outside was filling with people now. Hospital administration. More federal agents. Police commanders. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted explanations. Emily moved through them like a ghost, avoiding eye contact. Saying nothing, she reached the nurse's station. Dr. Mitchell was there. So were 3 other doctors. They all stopped talking when they saw her. Nurse Carson, Dr. Mitchell said. His voice was different now, uncertain. We need to talk. I'm still on shift, doctor. Patients need, the patients can wait, he interrupted. You need to tell us what happened out there. The other doctors nodded. One of them, Dr. Jameson, crossed his arms. People are saying you fought off armed men, that you used military tactics, that you're some kind of what? Emily asked calmly. We don't know, Dr. Mitchell admitted. That's what we're trying to understand. I did what needed to be done. Protected the hospital? Protected the patient? You killed people, Dr. Jameson said flatly. Emily met his eyes. Yes, I did. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable. Are you even a real nurse? Dr. Mitchell finally asked. I have my license. My credentials. Everything is legitimate. That's not what I asked. Before Emily could respond, her phone buzzed. The encrypted one. She pulled it out. Read the message. Visitor inbound. ETA, 2 minutes. Prepare for exposure. Her stomach tightened. This was it. The moment her cover died completely. Excuse me, she said, moving past the doctors. Carson. We're not finished. Dr. Mitchell called after her, but Emily was already walking toward the main entrance. Her heart was pounding now. Not from fear, from something else. Something she couldn't quite name. Outside, she heard them before she saw them. Helicopters, military, 3 of them, setting down in the hospital parking lot. Wind whipped through the night. Dust and debris scattered. The entire hospital staff was gathering now, watching, trying to understand. What was happening? The helicopter's doors opened. Armed soldiers emerged first, forming a perimeter. Then came men in dress uniforms. High-ranking officers, their uniforms gleamed with medals and ribbons, and finally, one more figure stepped out. Even from a distance, Emily recognized him. Recognized the 4 stars on his shoulders. Recognized the bearing of the most powerful military commander in the country, General Marcus Webb, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He walked toward the hospital entrance. Soldiers flanked him. Officers followed. The entire procession moved with military precision. Hospital staff backed away, confused, frightened. They'd never seen anything like this. The general stopped at the entrance. His eyes swept the crowd. Then they found Emily. He walked directly toward her. Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. "General, I'm the chief of emergency medicine. If you're here about the incident," the general walked past him without acknowledgement. He stopped directly in front of Emily. She stood there in her scrubs, hair tied back, stethoscope around her neck, looking every bit like a regular nurse. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then General Marcus Webb, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest-ranking military officer in the United States, did something that made every person watching question reality itself. He brought his hand up in a sharp, crisp salute, and he held it there, waiting. Emily's eyes closed for just a moment. When they opened again, everything had changed. She raised her hand, returned the salute. "Military perfect, sir," she said quietly. The general dropped his salute. Then he did something even more shocking. He smiled warmly. "Proudly, Commander Carson," he said, his voice carrying across the silent parking lot. "On behalf of the President of the United States and every person you've sworn to protect, thank you for your service. And welcome back to the world." Behind Emily, someone gasped. Then another. Then a dozen voices all at once, all asking the same question. "Commander." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Every doctor, every nurse, every staff member stood frozen in disbelief. Dr. Mitchell's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. General Webb turned to address the crowd. His voice was authoritative, commanding, the voice of someone used to being obeyed. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption to your facility, but I'm here on a matter of national security that requires immediate attention." He gestured to Emily. "This woman has been operating in deep cover for the United States Navy for the past 6 months. Her mission was classified at the highest levels. Tonight, that mission concluded successfully. Navy." Someone whispered, "She's a nurse." "She's a commander in the United States Navy," the general corrected firmly, "and one of the most highly decorated special operations officers in our military." Dr. Jameson stepped forward. His face was red, angry. "This is insane. We did background checks. We have her employment records. She's been a nurse for 5 years. All part of her cover," an officer behind the general explained. "Every document, every credential, every reference, all carefully constructed and maintained. But she worked here," Dr. Mitchell said, his voice shaking. "She saved lives. She was good at it. Exceptional, even." General Webb looked at Emily. "Commander Carson is many things, Doctor. Exceptional is just one of them." Emily stood silent, the weight of dozens of eyes on her. She wanted to disappear, to become invisible again, but that option was gone forever. Dr. Reeves pushed through the crowd. "General, I operated on a patient tonight with nurse. With Commander Carson's assistance." "That man was also military, wasn't he?" "Lieutenant Commander Jason Torres. Navy SEAL Team 3. Currently in stable condition thanks to both of you and the men who attacked us. Russian intelligence operatives. They've been eliminated or arrested. The threat has been neutralized." Dr. Reeves turned to Emily. "You knew? From the moment he came through those doors, you knew who he was." Emily finally spoke. "Yes, I knew. And you kept working. Kept your cover. Even when men with guns surrounded this building." Dr. Reeves shook her head in amazement. "How long have you been doing this?" "Long enough," Emily said quietly. General Webb checked his watch. "Commander, we need to debrief you. If you'll come with me, wait." Dr. Mitchell's voice rang out. He pushed forward. "You can't just take her. We have questions. We deserve answers." The general's expression hardened. "Doctor, I understand your confusion, but Commander Carson's mission details are classified. What I can tell you is this: she volunteered for an assignment that required her to live a completely fabricated life for months, to maintain perfect cover while surrounded by civilians, to be ready at any moment to defend those civilians with lethal force if necessary." He paused. "Tonight she did exactly that. But why here?" Another doctor asked. "Why our hospital?" An intelligence officer stepped forward. Russian intelligence had identified this hospital as a likely location for wounded American assets. They'd been monitoring it for weeks. Commander Carson was placed here to identify and neutralize their operation, so we were bait. Dr. Jameson said angrily. "Our patients? Our staff?" "No," Emily said firmly. Everyone turned to look at her. "You were protected. Every moment of every day. You just didn't know it." "The security guards," Dr. Reeves said suddenly. "The new ones who started a few months ago. They weren't really security, were they?" "Special operations personnel," the general confirmed. "Embedded to provide protection." "How many?" Dr. Mitchell asked. 20-3 operators throughout the facility. All highly trained. All ready to defend this hospital and everyone in it. The revelation stunned the crowd into silence. Emily looked at the faces around her. These people she'd worked with, laughed with, some she'd even shared coffee with during long night shifts. They were looking at her like she was a stranger, because she was. A nurse approached slowly. Young, maybe 25. Her name tag read Sarah. "You helped me," Sarah said softly. "My first code. I was panicking. You talked me through it, kept me calm." "Was that real?" Emily met her eyes. "Yes, that was real." "And the time you stayed late to help me practice for insertions?" "Real." "The advice you gave me about dealing with difficult patients?" "All real." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "So you're not just some cold operator pretending to care?" Emily felt her throat tighten. "No, I care." "That was never pretend, then why?" Sarah asked. "Why do this? Why live a lie?" Emily looked at the general. He nodded. "Permission to speak, because someone has to," Emily said. "Someone has to stand in the shadows so others can live in the light. Someone has to make the hard calls. Take the difficult assignments. And sometimes that means living two lives. Being two people." She paused. "I chose this. Nobody forced me. And I'd do it again." Dr. Mitchell ran his hand through his hair. "I was terrible to you. Dismissive. Condescending. You were a doctor managing a busy ER," Emily said. "You treated me exactly how I wanted to be treated. Invisible. Unremarkable." "Jesus," he muttered. "I feel like an idiot." "Don't. You did nothing wrong." The general cleared his throat. "If we could continue this inside, we need to conduct a full debrief. And Commander Carson needs rest? I'm fine, sir." Emily said automatically. "That wasn't a request, Commander." She nodded. "Yes, sir." As the military personnel began to move toward the building, Dr. Reeves called out, "General Webb, that man in recovery. Lieutenant Commander Torres. Will he be okay?" "Physically, yes, thanks to your skill. Mentally?" The general's expression softened. "That remains to be seen. This line of work takes its toll in Commander Carson." Dr. Reeves looked at Emily. "What happens to her now?" "That's classified. Will we ever see her again?" The general didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. Emily felt something crack inside her chest. These people, this place. For 6 months, it had been her life, her reality. And now it was ending. "May I have a moment?" Emily asked the general. "To say goodbye?" He hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. The military personnel stepped back. Giving her space, Emily turned to face the hospital staff, her colleagues, her friends, even if they'd never known the real her. "I'm sorry," she said, "for the deception, for the lies. I wish I could tell you more, explain everything, but I can't. Will you be safe?" Sarah asked. "Wherever you're going." Emily smiled, sad but genuine. "I've been doing this a long time. I know how to take care of myself. What should we tell people?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "The other staff? The patients who ask about you? Tell them I got a new job. Somewhere far away. Tell them I said goodbye. That's it." Dr. Jameson said, "After everything tonight? After what you did?" "That's all I can give you," Emily replied. She looked at each of them one more time, memorizing faces, storing memories she might need someday. Then she turned and walked toward the general, toward the soldiers, toward her real life. But before she reached them, one more person emerged from the hospital, Lieutenant Commander Torres. Against all medical advice, he'd gotten out of bed. He was pale, weak, but standing. "Commander," he said, bringing his hand up in salute despite his injuries. Emily returned it. "You should be resting. Had to see you off properly." He smiled. "And tell you something." "What's that?" "Hoo-yah, Commander," the SEAL battle cry. The acknowledgement of her place among them. Emily felt tears threaten for the first time, but she held them back. "Hoo-yah," she replied quietly. Then she walked away from St. Catherine's Hospital, away from being Nurse Carson, back to being Commander Emily Carson. And behind her, the staff watched in stunned silence, trying to reconcile the woman they'd known with the warrior who just saved them all. The secure conference room inside the hospital had been transformed. Military equipment lined the walls. Armed guards at the door. Emily sat at the table, still in her SCRUBS. General Webb sat across from her. "Operation Nightingale is officially concluded," the general said. 38 enemy operatives captured or eliminated. 0 civilian casualties. Emily said nothing. Exhausted, emotionally drained. "Your cover is burned," General Webb said. "By morning, this will be news. Female Navy SEAL working undercover as a nurse." "I understand, sir. Which means we need to make a decision about your future." He leaned forward. "You've been in deep cover for 3 years. That's too long." Emily looked up. "Are you pulling me out, sir?" "I'm giving you a choice. We can reassign you, put you back with your SEAL team, or we can put you somewhere else. Another cover. Another mission. More lies," Emily said quietly. "More service," he corrected. "But this work takes a toll. I've seen operators burn out, lose themselves." He stood. "I'm ordering you to take 2 weeks off. Real time off. Figure out who you are anymore, and then you decide." Emily nodded. "Thank you, sir. One more thing." The general pulled out a small box. Inside was a medal. The Defense Distinguished Service Medal. He pinned it to her scrubs. "You're one of the finest officers I've ever commanded," General Webb said. "Whatever you decide, remember that by dawn," Emily was released. She walked through the hospital corridors one last time, past the OR, past the nurses' station, past the break room. All of it felt like a lifetime ago. Outside, Dr. Reeves was waiting. "Thought you might need a friendly face," she said. "Thank you." They walked through the parking lot. The sun rising, pink and orange across the sky. "Did you ever regret it?" Dr. Reeves asked. "The choice to do this?" Emily thought about it sometimes. "When I see people living normal lives, having families," she paused. "But then I remember why I do this. The people I protect, and I know it's worth it, even if nobody knows." Especially because nobody knows. They reached Dr. Reeves' car. "You were the best nurse I ever worked with," Dr. Reeves said. "You weren't pretending to care. Medicine saves lives," Emily said. "So does what I do, just in different ways. Will I ever see you again?" "Probably not." Dr. Reeves pulled her into a hug. "Stay safe, Commander, you too." Dr. Emily walked to a black SUV, government vehicle. Before she got in, She looked back at St. Catherine's Hospital one last time. Sarah, the young nurse, appeared at the entrance. She waved at Emily, waved back. Then she got in and drove away. 3 weeks later, Dr. Mitchell sat in his office. On his desk was a newspaper. Navy SEAL operated undercover in local hospital, Commander Emily Carson. Decorated officer. Deep cover operative. A hero nobody had known about. Dr. Mitchell thought about all the times he'd dismissed her, talked down to her. He thought about the night she'd saved them all, and he wondered how many other people like her were out there, living quiet lives, doing extraordinary things. His phone rang. Another emergency? He headed to the ER as he walked past the nurse's station. Saw the new nurse, quiet, efficient, unremarkable. For just a moment, Dr. Mitchell wondered, then he kept walking. Some things were better left unknown. Meanwhile, somewhere across the country, Emily Carson sat in a small cafe. No uniform, no scrubs. Just jeans and a t-shirt. Her phone buzzed. Ready for your next assignment? Emily stared at it for a long moment. Then she typed one word. Yes, because that's what heroes do. They answer the call. Even when nobody's watching, they stand in the shadows so others can live in the light. And Emily Carson was very good at standing in shadows. The hospital lights had flickered that night. And in that moment, one nurse had revealed herself to be so much more. The world is full of people like her. Silent guardians. Hidden protectors. Ordinary faces hiding extraordinary courage. They walk among us. Serve beside us. Save us without asking for credit. The next time you see someone doing an ordinary job with extraordinary dedication, remember Emily's story? Because you never really know who's standing next to you. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. There are more stories like Emily's out there. More silent badges. More hidden heroes, and they all deserve to be remembered.